Hey there, my name is Ian Greenleigh. I'm the VP of Brand and Comms at 1E, and I'm here in Austin. I'm also one of the creators of the study we're going to talk about today. And we're joined by Josh Thompson. He's the VP of Product Marketing. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Ian. Looking forward to the conversation and digging into these insights.
And you just spoke at Gartner. How was that?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, there's been a couple Gartner conferences. The Digital Workplace Conference I was at in London had a really good presentation there. A lot of great feedback and great conversations with customers and prospects alike. I enjoyed it. Thanks for mentioning.
Yeah, I've heard great things. And before we get started talking about the actual survey, I wanted to ask you, have you found AI valuable in your own life, maybe outside of work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the subject is just so broad. You can start anywhere. I mean, just as a consumer of AI, started like most people have with, things like the image creation or ChatGPT or Perplexity AI. These ideas, the interface of the chatbot asking questions, getting answers. I use it a lot to kind of get started on ideas. I found it pretty successful.
Yeah, that's similar to what I find valuable about it. It's not so much the output, the final draft. It's more the structural stuff. Sometimes I even ask it to critique my writing. Sometimes I use it for research purposes. I think that's kind of where at least GPT-4 and that kind of thing is at right now in terms of value. So let's get into the actual survey. Just to set it up for anyone that doesn't know, this was a partnership with YouGov, which is a highly respected survey organization. They don't just do politics, although that's where they started. For this one, we reached out to 500 plus IT decision makers in the US. And we were really interested in three things primarily. First, which IT ops task will benefit the most from AI? Also, what matters most in responsible AI deployment? And lastly, what IT leaders look for in new AI investments. So you ready to dig in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, first up, first finding, 93% say AI provides value in supporting IT operations. So Josh, you talk to many customers, analysts, prospects, subject matter experts of all types. So I'm curious, do you see this consensus reflected in your conversations with them?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everyone is in agreement that AI is going to help IT operations. The big question is how and where to start. A lot of the conversations I have, I've done a few roundtables lately with IT decision makers and leaders. And one of the things that I find really common is if we all have that question that you asked at the beginning is like, what's your experience with AI? They all have a different starting point. So some organizations are thinking about it in terms of co-pilots. Some organizations are thinking about it in deep data strategy. Some organizations are thinking about it as features of products. The world is their oyster, if it were, right? So there's a lot going on there, but everyone does agree that it's going to provide, or it does, or is going to provide, however they implement it, value in supporting IT operations.
Yeah, quite a wide spectrum of use cases there for sure. The next finding we have is that 86% agree they're much more likely to purchase IT products that help them with operational costs. So why does this seem to be so important right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think operational costs are top of mind for everyone, especially for more mature IT organizations. What they're forced to deal with is the whole concept of do more with less. And I think that's where the promise of AI comes in and is really beneficial to those organizations. But as these organizations mature, what we see is that they become more responsible for communicating how they are going to contribute, unless it's a nonprofit organization. But a for-profit organization, how they're either going to contribute to the top line or reduce costs and contribute to the bottom line. And this is something that they need to be able to explain and understand how the technology that is brought into the organization affects the business as a whole on the balance sheet itself, which is a new concept that maybe IT didn't have to deal with in the past, but is definitely now having to justify today and in the future.
That makes sense. But in the real world, what are some of the ways that IT teams are actually doing this and reducing operational costs?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that happens, and it's really just the perspective of where they start, right? And so, I can speak to how we've helped customers reduce operational costs. One of which is core to our platform is the idea of proactive remediation, if you will, which starts to bring down the cost of the service desk. So we're helping organizations solve issues before they ever bubble up to the level of frustration where an end user or human at the endpoint actually logs a ticket. And that's an easy one, right? That's an easy one where we start to bring down that cost. I mean, there's dozens of other ways. Another way that's really popular right now that we're seeing a lot of success in is helping with the hardware lifecycle management of physical endpoints and helping organizations understand how they can get the most time out of the devices themselves by either updating or reassigning or reimaging or recycling, whatever. We have a bunch of R's that go in there. And that's another really high signal ROI use case, cost savings that we're dealing with right now that a lot of our customers are benefiting from.
Yeah, not everyone needs the same device. Not everyone does enough kind of high processing power work that they need the top of the line device, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Another thing that we saw in this study, it came up over and over again, was that these decision makers want to use AI to fix issues faster, which you just touched on. But they also want to analyze large data sets faster. So speed is definitely one of the themes here, and reduce human errors. So what would it mean for these IT leaders if AI could truly help with these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a key issue that organizations are faced with right now. For a long time, we've talked about this idea of shifting left, which is core to our value proposition. But what we see is organizations are ingesting more and more and more data, and it's actually causing this shift right. And the only way you're actually going to be able to shift left again, so shift right to shift left, is using AI to help process that information and help derive insights from the vast sources of data, and then correlate or connect those data sources to find insights that maybe a human either couldn't do on their own or wouldn't have the time to do on their own. And so it's like helping organizations surface those unknown unknowns and shift the process left and get to insights very, very quickly in a way that's just not possible for a human to process or a group of humans to process with the vast amount of data that can be collected in different ways across different vendors and platforms and areas.
Shift right to shift left. I love this new phrase. And actually, speaking of shifting, 74% want to localize more of AI-related data processing. We know, AI is data intensive. They want to reduce latency specifically. So why is reducing latency such a priority, and how can AI help them with that?
Speed wins, right? So the ability to understand what is going on in real time and affect change in real time wins, right? It's a core value of why 1E as a company has won for a long time and has provided value to our customers. Is the idea of real time remediations has been the piece that has connected us, the connective tissue for our value prop, and it's real time remediation in milliseconds, not minutes, hours, or days. And the reason especially with AI, is the ability to have a hybrid edge AI strategy, which is core to what we do, and have some AI capability on the endpoint itself, or even for organizations, if we think in a broader concept of running the AI processes within their own cloud or their own tenant. It drives a lot of benefits for the organization because they can move fast. And moving fast is very important, especially when it comes to security and compliance. I mean, those are no-brainers, right? You have to move fast in those areas.
Does it also benefit the end user?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where, especially when we get into the value of our edge AI, so our intelligent sentiment, is the ability to understand the end user and affect change on the endpoint in real time, whether the device is online or offline. So, it affects every human using the technology wherever they're at. But the closer you are to it, the faster it is, right? It's just as a rule of thumb, if you will.
Got it. So this next finding I found really interesting because it seems like very futuristic, but 79% want to predict how users will react to IT issues. What's so powerful about being able to predict IT issues?
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy to see this one come out because this has been a big point of our product strategy, and I'll give our product team a lot of credit on this and building the aspects of our product to help IT organizations have predictability and like proactive actions, right? And so, those are pretty common buzzwords, but what it actually looks like is the ability to understand the level of frustration that is bubbling up for the end user and to predict issues before they reach the threshold and break the threshold of an end user filing a service desk ticket. And so how do we help those organizations understand what's happening before it becomes an issue that costs more money to address? And so, the idea here is you have to move from reactive to proactive, and you have to be proactive in solving problems before they bubble up and cause costs raising or even cause friction in the organizations to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of friction, this time for the end user, 85% say personalized experiences will improve user sentiment. So what does that look like in practice?
Yeah, I mean, we talk. I kind of hinted at it there, right? The hybrid edge AI strategy, where we have a AI model that lives on the edge, and we have the unique ability to understand what the sentiment of using the AI to understanding what the sentiment, so the drift, friction, and frustration of the end user is. And then what that does is that allows that model to apply rules and functions that are driven by the IT organization to help personalize that device to that end user. And so it's set up in a way that is going to optimize the device for the end user to get their job done and to limit the amount of frustration they have in their daily life or their ability to get work done. And so that's, the ability to have that model on the endpoint itself is a unique capability that 1E has, which, the whole personalized experiences is, this is a bit of the holy grail of what IT wants to deliver, is how do we deliver great experiences to our end users so that they can so they don't have any friction in doing the best work possible. And I think that's why we see this, right? Everybody wants it. So it's common that people would agree with this statement.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. So this one I'm really curious to get your insight on because this is the biggest split that we saw. We saw 36% saying that they have accurate visibility into user sentiment, and around the same number, 38% say they don't. And then, of course, the remainder is people that don't know. So what are some of the benefits of data visibility? Or I'm sorry, I moved on to the next question. Why such a split? Why do you think there's such a split there?
Yeah, I think there's such a split there because the way that organizations understand and have visibility into sentiment. So right now, the way that the only way that they can really do that is through surveys. So maybe they're using something like Qualtrics or even 1E, right? In our platform itself, we have the ability to survey people. The challenge with that is that information is very reactive. It's good for retrospective. It takes a long time to build. And so the example that I give here is if I said I was giving everyone on this live stream $5, which I'm not, so don't get too excited. But if I said that and then I polled everyone, first of all, I likely wouldn't get 100% participation rate. And then when I did, so let's say it's really good. Say I got 60, 70% participation rate in a short amount of time. Some of the people might say, well, he should have given us $10. Some of the people might say, well, he should have given us no money at all. And some other people might say, well, why is he saying dollars and not euros or pounds? Right. And that's the challenge that IT organizations are faced with in interpreting this information. And so maybe some organizations do have visibility because they have a good survey function, but surveying is hard, right? It's why we do partnerships with organizations like YouGov, right? Because running a survey in a proper way to have statistical significance is a challenge. And it's really just not a core competency that most IT organizations have. And so this is actually where we've been really successful with our intelligent sentiment AI capability that predicts the end user sentiment across each and every end user. and each and every human in the organization. And so they have a really good visibility into where the employee base or the environment sentiment is. And I'd like to see this survey or this question run again after people use that AI capability of our platform. But yeah, this is very common. And I think this is the opportunity in the DEX market, actually.
That's a great idea to run this again once people have used it, because I would be very fascinated to know this result as well. And you just mentioned visibility. And so now we get to that question that I preempted there. 57% consider visibility and transparency into data collected essential when implementing responsible AI for employees. So Josh, what are some of the benefits of data visibility and transparency when it comes to AI in digital employee experience?
Yeah, I mean, visibility and transparency are crucial to especially large enterprises and highly regulated sectors, right? Because somebody is going to be responsible for the actions that are taken. And so if the organization doesn't have the ability to, one, have a human in the loop to make the decision, and two, have the human in the loop understand how the AI created the recommendation or the automation or the insight that it gave, then that's a big risk for organizations. And it's actually really core to our strategy for how we're driving our intelligent insights. Another AI capability we have is giving organizations the capability to do the root cause analysis and understand where the insight came from and understand where that unknown came from and what they're affecting by doing it. The responsible AI is core to being able to use AI in IT organizations across IT operations teams.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for the questions today. You've talked quite a bit about our AI capabilities within our 1E Intelligence offering. Did you leave anything out? Is there anything else you wanted to say about that within the context of this survey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I hinted at it a couple times throughout the conversation around our hybrid edge AI approach, right? Which is the intelligent sentiment, which is an AI model that lives on the edge at the endpoint, at the employee themselves, and works to understand that employee and drive change to create personalized digital experiences for that specific human at the computer that they're working at. But then we also have the hybrid part, that's the edge side. And then on the cloud side, we have the intelligent insights capability, because if we surface a bunch of information about the sentiment of end users and we tell IT, hey, like people are going to start being frustrated soon, but we don't tell them what to do, what the insight is, we don't surface that unknown information, that's actually a big risk for IT organizations. And so on the cloud side of our hybrid edge AI, we have an intelligent insights cloud AI model that drives the insights to surface the unknowns and then drive towards recommendations in what actions to take to fix the issues. 1E's value prop has always been, how do you remediate the problem? So not just surface and see the problem, but actually how do you fix it? And that's core to how we've built the product through and through. And I'm really excited to see this as more and more customers are onboarding to our AI capabilities.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it today for this installment. We're going to have many more surveys, many more conversations coming out in the next few months. Josh, thank you so much. This has been a really interesting conversation. If you haven't downloaded the report yet, it's at the bottom of your screen. I also want to thank the community that showed up for this. We appreciate y'all so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.